Blog Talk Radio.
Hi, welcome to 219 GreenConnect. This is your host, Kathy Sipple, and on 219 GreenConnect, we explore topics about the environment and green living in Northwest Indiana. With me today, I have Kathy Luther of the Northwest Indiana Regional Planning Commission, also called NIRPC here locally, and we're going to be talking about a new program that's designed to help make solar energy more affordable and accessible to region residents. A few cities have already expressed interest, and we're going to hear about who they are, and also you can learn how you can be a part of it, how you can urge your own local officials to take part in this program. So welcome, Kathy Luther. Thanks so much for being a guest.
Yeah, thank you, Kathy, for having me on your program.
Well, tell us a little bit about this plan. I mean, where is this coming from? How is it being funded? What's the opportunity? Just broad brush strokes.
Well, NIRPC has been working for about a year with a funding program from the Department of Energy. Has a program called Sunshot, which is trying to reduce the cost of solar. And as part of that, there's another program, Solar Rooftop Challenge, which I'm part of a partnership with 10 other regions in the country that is working on soft costs. That is the part of the solar that is not the hardware, which has gone down like hugely, the cost of that, but the soft cost permit fees, the marketing costs for the installers. We're trying to get those costs as low as possible. So for people who want to go solar, they're really just paying for the hardware and the installation and not a lot of red tape costs built in.
Great. And this has been successful in some other areas of the country already. Is that right?
Right. The model we're following for the overall Solar Ready program has been done in Kansas City, which is probably as Midwest as you can get. And we're following their model, but we're right now kicking off a new program of that called Solarize. So we've been working with the communities on the red tape. Now we want to work with actual residents and businesses that want to have solar energy to bring down costs. And so it's called Solarize Northwest Indiana.
Great. That's wonderful. And so you had a recent deadline where you encouraged cities to apply to be part of this program, and I think you told me you were possibly extending it. Is that right?
Yes. So the way Solarize works is we try to do kind of a volume discount. So we want to have a few. We were hoping to get 4 cities or towns that would participate, and we'll have a time window of about 6 weeks. And everyone who signs up for solar in those towns in that time window will be part of this volume discount, which will bring the cost down. Right now, we only had 2 cities apply. I'm really excited, though. We have Hobart and Dyer on board to do Solarize. So residents in those communities will definitely be able to be part of this program. I'm going to extend the deadline a little bit. So if you've been interested in solar and you'd like an opportunity to get this volume discount, which I can talk about the savings that involves shortly here, please, let your community know, your elected officials or your staff, that you really hope your community would want to do Solarize with us.
Well, that sounds great. And then from what I understand, you're kind of doing it by community to, again, keep the cost under control for the installer, to kind of localize their efforts. So if you happen to be located somewhat near either Dyer or Hobart, it might be possible that you could still piggyback onto that effort. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't think we want to turn anyone away, but we do want to do some workshops. If you've wondered about solar and you don't know enough about it, and this, few-minute radio discussion isn't enough, you may want to attend a workshop. So the host communities will get a workshop to explain to residents and businesses, what really in detail what this is all about, what it looks like, what the costs and payback is. But we don't really want to turn anyone away.
Okay, good. So you said you were prepared to talk math. So can we talk a little bit about that? What would typical costs be for somebody, and then what does this kind of savings represent?
So I did a little bit of math on a residential installation, and I used 5 because that's easy math. So a typical residential installation is between 5 and 10 kilowatts. A lot of people go for 7. So right now at the market rate, a 5 kilowatt installation of solar, which would generate maybe half to 3/4 of the electricity of a typical home in a year, that would cost, with a market rate, $21,000 to install on your home. If we can get 4 to 10 people to go solar during the Solarize, we can drop that down another $1,000. If we can get 40 people in Northwest Indiana to do solar during this time period, we can drop that down to $16,000. So that's a really substantial savings. If you throw in the 30% federal tax credit, you can get down a 5 kilowatt installation, if we get up to 200 kilowatts total installed, for $11,500. So, yes, I don't have that in my pocket, but that gives you an idea of how much savings we can get just by getting a lot of people to do it.
Great. Well, I happen to know one person from Green Drinks who I believe you said was on your advisory committee, and that I'm talking about Rich Hare. And I know he has installed solar on his own home, and he was quoted in a relatively recent article, and he said that he thought that was a great use of his retirement funds because he was making more on that than he was, happy with the stocks that he had in his portfolio. So I wonder if that's a phenomenon that you're familiar with. Yeah.
A lot of people are thinking about the future and your future electric prices. So, the NIPSCO bill never goes down. It can only go up. So putting in solar now, you're hedging against the future price increases, right? Especially if you're thinking about retiring, you're going to be on a fixed income. Once you put the solar in, you can really, if the price of electricity goes up, it doesn't affect you much at all. There was a number, something about, $100,000 over the 30-year cost of your 30-year lifespan of your solar panels, you will save just over the increasing cost of electricity. In addition, right now, the reason we're doing this right now is NIPSCO is releasing a new program called Feed-in Tariff. They've done one before, but there's a new one starting in March, where right now you can do net metering. That's where if you generate more electricity with your solar than you're using, you give it back to NIPSCO, and they give you a credit. So later on, if it's, cold or cloudy and you're not generating electricity, you get that credit back off a bill where you're using the NIPSCO. And that way, somebody who, for example, if you do 7 kilowatts, you might get 75 to 80% of your electric covered year-round, a little bit of conservation, and you have no electric at all. But with the feed-in tariff, NIPSCO will pay you for the electricity you put into the grid, and that is 17 cents a kilowatt hour, which is another more math. That would be about $850 a year that NIPSCO would pay you for your 5 kilowatt system in the first year, and another almost $800 the second year. So you're almost turning it around on them. So we're trying to really capitalize on that by having people sign up for the solar, get the volume discount, get the federal tax credit while it's still in place. That's still in place for at least another 2 years. And then, if possible, get the NIPSCO feed-in tariff. So now NIPSCO's paying you.
That's pretty cool.
Which will really help to pay back on your $11,000, $12,000 investment.
That's very cool. Now, I'm just curious. I don't know that we talked about this specifically, but do you know if there are any financing options for people that may not have, money in hand? Do you know if this is something that is, how do most people pay for it? Is it just kind of limited to those who have the available funds?
No, it's not, because you could do a home equity loan, but there's actually solar. There's a Admiral Bank has quite a bit of solar financing packages, and the installer we're working with, Midwest Wind and Solar, is very familiar with their program. And I don't have the details about that in front of me, but there are solar financing products out there that are specifically designed for this type of program, both for private individuals and for businesses. And the particular Admirals Bank, and we're also working with First Financial, they have quite a bit of interest in this and growing their services in the renewable energy sector. So these companies are studying this issue. They understand the payback period, and so they have the suitable financing.
Great. Well, that's good news. So the workshops, those will yet to be determined, or do you have any dates set for those?
We do not have dates set for those. We will be probably trying to do those in March, which will be the window of time, hopefully, that people will be able to also participate in the NIPSCO feed-in tariff. So the way the Solarize program will work, we've done a competitive process already. We've identified a highly qualified installer, and you will sign up either at the workshop or through our website to receive a free initial contact. The installer will basically, using technology, Google Maps, so forth, give you a ballpark of how much solar your home could be expected to generate based on whatever roof angles and things, and ballpark how much it might cost. If you are still interested, then they will come out to your home and do an on-site evaluation and give you a much more specific price quote. That will be kind of phrased in a range. So the high end will be if we get very low participation. The low end will be if we get really awesome participation and you're getting that huge discount from having so much solar in the region. And at that point, once we close the 6-week sign-up window, that price will be set based on however many we get. So that's a good opportunity if you do it to bug your neighbors to do it too, because that'll help everyone get a cheaper price. And we'll have that tracking online so you can see what the price is today, how many kilowatts we got. Anyway, so you can get pretty far through the process before actually having to commit to the contract. You can find out how much electricity you're going to generate. You'll find out exactly how much it'll cost. You'll find out, about your house situation. There may be some homes that really can't do solar. It seems like not very many, but, in that case, we'll try to hook you up with some other resources. If you're interested in promoting solar, but you don't, you live in a forest and you don't want to cut down trees to have solar, we still will be really interested in folks wanting to be ambassadors for these workshops to help, just talk about the benefits of solar with people and answer their questions. And we will have a training for ambassadors and volunteers as well.
Great. And since we've mentioned your website but haven't given people the address, why don't we tell people the best place where they can go to find more information on the program?
Sure. If you go to www.nirpc.org and then click on the Environment tab and then go down to the bottom and there's solar, which is also so after the nirpc.org/environment/solar.
Great. And I'll also include that on the show notes, too. So if you do have any trouble finding it on the NIRPC site, which I'm sure you will not, you can go to blogtalkradio.com/219GreenConnect, and I'll include the link to get right there as well. So that sounds pretty exciting. And I think you mentioned one other option to me when we spoke some time ago, and it was about rentals. Can you say anything about that?
Yeah. So one thing that that our installer, especially this may be more likely for businesses, but they could have residential interest too. Companies you may want to lease, which means the company, there's solar kind of bundlers that will create a lease program where they basically lease your roof. they put the solar panels on, they get the feed-in tariff, the money from NIPSCO, the tax credit, and all that. You get a payment from them. Basically, you're renting out your roof space. And then I think you still get the credit, so it does reduce your electric rate, but some of the other benefits accrue to the leaser. So that's another way to get solar without that upfront investment, is to partner with a solar leasing company.
Okay, very interesting. I knew nothing about that previously, so fascinating.
So
yeah.
So that is a way. So the NIPSCO feed-in tariff is going to be a lottery. So not everyone will win, but that could be a way for, if a company has won the lottery, then they may want to lease the roof space. So that's another way to get in on that if you don't win the lottery. I'm hoping we have so much interest from the Solarize Northwest Indiana that the whole NIPSCO lottery will be full of us, and everyone will win.
That would certainly be great. Well, do you have a sense for, was there leadership within Dyer and or Hobart that kind of helped those people rally, or how did they get off to the start that they've had, and what encouragement do you have for other communities, or what action steps could people take to influence their own city officials?
I'm sorry for interrupting.
No, that's quite all right.
Both of those communities have been working with us or other partners. Hobart's been working with us on the solar process all along. They had a couple of years ago some interest in some solar farm type installations, so they were already tuned into that. And they've also been engaged in comprehensive plan updates and a Green Fleets program with South Shore Clean Cities. So they're generally trying to look for ways to green their community. Dyer has also been working with South Shore Clean Cities on the Green Fleets program, which I think inspired their interest. I should mention that we're working with the installer, that the communities that successfully participate and get 50 to 100 kilowatts, which is about 10 installations in their community, will receive a free installation on a public building, a school, a park, office, something like that. So one of the reasons to participate is to kind of help your community win some free solar. So those two communities, it's been, I think, driven by existing partnerships and existing green efforts. Okay,
great. Any suggestions for, I'm hearing my city, which I think of as fairly progressive, Valparaiso, not among those listed. So if somebody like me wanted to urge, my own officials to perhaps get involved, any recommendations for how to make that happen?
I would suggest contacting your mayor or elected official, or if you have like a town manager or planner, they may not know that there's an interest in solar in their community, or they may not realize that people would really want to do this. I think sometimes there's a lot of negative myths about solar. Many communities and residents may not realize there have been numerous studies showing that solar increases your property values. People tend to have a knee-jerk reaction that anything different is going to reduce their property values, but studies in the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast and other places around the country have shown that there's a 20% increase in the property value and a 17% turnover speed up to sell your home faster. That's probably not a technical real estate term.
Well, I know what you mean. Fewer days on market.
So I think sometimes people are afraid to try something different, and that's maybe a myth that we could try to combat, is the property value decrease myth. Another myth that some communities have expressed is, well, what if it's not reliable? What if it causes problems? Well, the solar panels that are out there have a 30-year lifespan. They've been shown to withstand, they actually help your roof withstand hail and storms.
And it
And
seems
they've
like
been around for 40 years. I mean, this is the same technology in your calculator and on signs and things like that around the country for many decades. That's been fine.
Great.
Another reason, if you don't, you're not concerned about the money so much, the solar does create jobs. We have Fronius USA. They're a major solar manufacturer. They're right here in Portage with hundreds of jobs invested directly in solar technology. The projection is that for every 4 installations of solar we have in Northwest Indiana, that creates a job. So we're helping our communities too. That's another good talking point if you want to talk with your local officials about participating in Solarize.
And
that we're creating jobs.
Can I ask, will the panels come from Fronius directly, or are they one of the vendors that may be used?
They make inverters, which is sort of like the connecting piece between your solar panel and NIPSCO.
Gotcha.
That's what they make.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I believe the installer that we selected is planning to use Fronius microinverters as part of their package. And they're also working with IBEW, so we'll be using also local union electricians supervised by North American Board of Renewable Energy Practitioners installer.
Great
so
stuff.
We have really high confidence in the quality of the work that will be done. Let's see, what else?
Well, it sounds very good. And I think you mentioned right before we started that you had pulled some numbers on reducing carbon emissions too. Is that right?
Oh.
What the impact would have?
Yeah, some little factoids for people if you don't care about your electric bill and you don't care about any of that, but you really want to just do this because it's the right thing to do. That typical kind of 5 kilowatt installation I was talking about before, over the 30-year lifespan of the panels, would save 137 tons of CO2, which is the equivalent of planting over 3,000 trees, of reducing 274,000 miles of driving, or 14,000 gallons of gas. It reduces 433 tons of waste from landfill and displaces the CO2 emissions from 16 homes each year.
Wow. So I like how you have the multi-pronged approach.
Environmental benefits.
Yeah. Well, I love that you've got a little something for everybody. You got job creations. You got the, do the right thing. You've got the, lock in your cost or possibly get money back with a feed-in tariff. No matter what your objectives are, it sounds like there's a reason to at least consider this and crunch the numbers for yourself. So really, it sounds like if you show up for one of these community meetings, you can automatically get for free an analysis done that will help you evaluate whether your property is a good candidate for solar, whether you've got too much tree cover or some other thing that would prevent the numbers from working out. But you can try that absolutely for free. Is that my correct understanding?
Yeah, that is free, and also if you decide to go a step further and have them actually come out to your home, and then they'll want to look at your wiring and things like that, and get a solid quote.
Great.
Then that is also free. There's no cost at all unless you sign on the dotted line. Yes, put these on my roof or in your yard.
Good. Now, do you have a sign-up list of just interested people? Is there a way that they can say, hey, put me on the list, keep me in the loop about this project, or should they just go to the website? Is that truly the best way to
I think they
be alerted?
should, well, I'm going to be starting that list very shortly, but for now they could just drop me an email at kluther@nirpc.org.
Great, and I'll put that on the show notes too. And what I'm going to ask, too, is anybody in the listening audience that is, in Northwest Indiana area, please write in the show comments or, on Facebook, where I'll also post this link, I want solar. I want solar for my community, or I want solar for my, individual house or place of business. And collectively, we can put a voice together and let let Northwest Indiana know that you're interested. So, let's help get the word out there. We can all be ambassadors, whether we go through the official program or not. But I am curious about your ambassador program since you mentioned it. Will there be information on the website for people interested in that as well, or how do they find out more?
Yes, we will be scheduling a separate workshop before the community workshops to train our solar ambassadors, to give more details about the Solarize, to get, training on these numbers and talking points I'm throwing all around. And they can really help us with the workshops or with their neighbors or with any community groups that they know about. So
great.
That's so look for a lot more information coming out in the next week and a half, 2 weeks, because I am hoping to get a lot of these workshops in March.
Okay, wonderful. Well, you heard it here, folks. We're solarizing Northwest Indiana, and if we get a critical mass, it just helps everybody to bring down the cost, and it sounds like some pretty substantial cost savings. So that would certainly be great. I think of this as kind of like Groupon for solar. It's a big Groupon coupon, but that's a pretty cool concept, economies of scale. So it really makes some sense if we can make it easier for the installer to kind of stay in one place and just do this in a large scale. It becomes more affordable for everybody. So very cool. Anything else you'd like to share about this program, Kathy?
Well, I guess I would also offer that if anyone is part of a group or a business or a chamber of commerce, I would love to come and talk to your group about this and get more information out there. Also, we have some fact sheets about the myths about solar, that we don't have enough sun and things like that. And there's a lot of information like that on our website. And also, I'd love to come and talk to your community groups about that.
Great. Well, it's a great offer, and we'll definitely do what we can to help you get the word out. So I appreciate you being here with me today. It's just always interesting to talk to you and find out what new programs are coming. I want to throw a plug, too, just if, the prices discussed are just not within your budget and you're not able to secure financing at this time, kind of green baby step options that you can take. I did a previous podcast with NIRPC about choosing the green energy option, and it's not quite as dark green as this option, but it is a step you can take. You can actually divert some or all, anywhere from 25% to 100% of your energy that comes to your home through NIRPC. It can be gotten through renewable energy credits. So you still get billed, by NIRPC, but they actually, I'd have to re-listen to that episode, frankly, to remember how it all works. But your energy would be generated from, renewable sources. So at the very least, we'd love to see people switch into that, but certainly if you can do solar, if it's within your, ability to do so, it sounds like a great option, and you can create economies of scale. So figure it out, attend a workshop, do the math, and, get the analysis done. If this sounds at all appealing, there are financing options, you're creating jobs, we're reducing carbon emissions. It's all very good stuff. So, again, thank you for being my guest here on 219 GreenConnect, Kathy. And please go to say the website one more time, Kathy.
.nirpc.org/environment/solar.
To find out more. So you can get all the details about the upcoming workshops and, let your city officials know if you want to bring solar to your community. So thanks. You've been listening to another episode of 219 GreenConnect. And if you like our show, we'd really appreciate it if you could comment or rate it on iTunes. All of our past archives are available on iTunes. You can subscribe there to make sure you don't miss an episode. That's it for now. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.